Hello there, boys and girls, and children of all ages. Fat Bastard Wannabe Buddha coming at you today. I still don't even know if I'm lining up with the camera, truthfully, because I got a shiny forehead on this. I don't know. Whoa, look at that. Need to get rid of some of that glare off that camera. This is, unfortunately, I wish I was a lot more competent at broadcasting than I currently am, or just basically how to function using computers. But anyway, I was going to do this real quick. I've been avoiding the camera is for a multitude of reasons. Mainly, I'm fat. That's number one reasons. And truthfully, I didn't know what I had to say. I was hoping to get set up before the election broadcast. Have a secondary monitor, and I'm doing an election broadcast off of Twitch playing games and do a faux stream of broadcasting. But that didn't work out because my car needed brakes, and unfortunately it needed brakes and also a steering pump. And I didn't have a means to do that myself anymore, so I had to pay to have that function done. Anyway, where was I? Oh, the election. Oh, how bad was that? That was. We are in a. No. I don't want to exit OSB. Sorry. Don't click on anything. Um, I thought this would be more relaxing if I was playing the Smiths in the background, but this ain't working for me. Let's turn the Smiths down for me. I know you can't hear the Smiths, but I'm listening to the Smiths because I'm in a very moody, depressing mood. Have been for the past couple of days. I blew an election. I haven't blew an election since I was 8 years old, and most people won't believe that, but actually it's true. I have not failed to call a presidential election since 1980. I called Reagan over Jimmy Carter. In that case, I probably more or less was aping what my grandmother thought was going to happen. And for the record, no, they didn't support Ronald Reagan. But they were smart enough to realize, my grandmother and my mother was smart enough to realize what was they were on the cusp of. When she seen Reagan in 76 or 74-ish, she pretty well believed that he was going to be in 84 the president. But she thought Carter could hold out until sort of towards the end, and then she knew that Reagan had it, just the will of the country itself. So I blew an election. One of the reasons I think I blew the elections is twofold. I was using Pennsylvania and Virginia as a blueprint in order to map other states like Michigan and Wisconsin. And truthfully, yeah, mainly those two states that I wasn't getting as much data from as I was out of Virginia and Pennsylvania. And the overlay did not work as well. I don't know if it was just a simple fact of a completely depressed and demoralized Democratic Party base coupled with mainstream, quote-unquote, mainstream Americans just sitting this one out. The end tally was 55% voting, 55, 48 to 55. It depends where you look. What was the final voting numbers of those able to vote and that actually participated in this election. So this was pretty bad, and still unsure whether or not educated whites were openly lying or misleading to the pollsters, so that's why the polls looked as cheery as they did, or if they were truly failed to capture the Trump voters who probably had walked away from mainstream media years ago. So this was an unmitigated disaster. I do believe this is an extinction level event, and there's no getting around that. I truthfully, personally suspect that Trump will be just a spectacle that they put forth before the nation itself, why large-scale capital does a basic smash and grab behind the scenes and maximize their control and minimize their risk and grab as much as they can from the American society and structure as before they sort of shuffle off and leave America to its own devices, which is not going to be pretty. I don't think large-scale capital has use for the American public anymore, or the American country as an entity. It was there for a market. It was there as a flag of convenience. And unfortunately, for the past 40, 50 years, since probably the petroleum dollar was created, America was pretty much nothing more than a means to secure shipping in natural resources for capital. So I don't even know if they think they need that anymore, since that a large portion of trade and commerce will be conducted over stuff like the emerging Silk Trail, the new Silk Road. So access to having a large-scale Blue Sea Navy, and at a minute notice drop an aircraft carrier off somebody's coast and ensure that their populace does your will in order to give their corporations could extract their resources and abuse their populace. I don't know if that's where they see the future of capitalist development is. I still think capitalism is running into a wall of maximizing more and more of the percentage of resources into fewer hands, and basically destroys the golden goose of having actual markets and production, or the capacity for production, if you do have this level of concentrations of wealth and access to resources in the hands of the few. But I don't think the sectors that have taken over modern capital is really concerns themselves with this. They're basically rent seekers. They have no use for productive capitalism anymore, and they're just rent seeking. Domestically, it's going to be an absolute terrible situation that most people, I don't think, fully understand. I am very tired of liberals telling me that I don't understand the plight of working class whites. I do. I understand the plight of working class whites. I know their little siren song, and I don't buy their con anymore. I just don't, and that's how I sort of started seeing it. It's a con that the rage and animosity they felt against those people and those people getting stuff was always a plaintive plea that no one cares about me. Well, you never desired more than to be rich, and you bought in 100%, and the system has no use for you. It just doesn't. And you will wake up eventually. The working class white folks will wake up and realize that fundamentally, ecologically and economically, those jobs can't come back. They just can't. Production levels are such that no matter what, you can't bring them back, and ecologically, we cannot afford as a species to have the same levels of mountaintop clearing as we once did. If tomorrow you made all those miners go out there and mine and frack and everything else to their heart's content, you would drive the cost of those products through the floor and therefore slit your throat. Even if you could, or even if they needed you to do those jobs at the levels that you want them to do, they just don't. Production levels and technological advances have been such that they just don't need the level of employment in certain segments of the economy as they once did. And those jobs ain't coming back. No matter how much you pray and dance and chant and do your little whatever it is, they're not coming back. And ecologically, I don't think we can afford for them to come back. But I don't think they think much about that. I don't think they think much about anything other than their immediate id. And that's sort of what kind of president they elected. A person that's an immediate id. So what I see from a Trump presidency is a public spectacle. So they will enjoy being entertained, and to the point they realize that things are not going to change, their life is not going to get progressively better, and then they will retreat into their own little sob stories and alcoholism, meth, and all the good things that they got set up for them to make sure they shuffle off this mortar coal. They just don't have any need for you folks, and y'all ain't figured that out. And my side of the argument has not come up with a coherent narrative for you to be that you can find it palatable. We can't come to you and say, hey, it's not going to happen. Those jobs are gone. We need to start thinking of different methods and means of how to live and distribute goods and services into society, because they have this narrative that you can get rich. You can go to bed with models and drive Lambos. And if someone comes and tells you that, hey, maybe those things ain't the best things to strive for as a person, you do not want to hear that. And God help you if we tell you that you're never going to get that, because you're not. You're going to live lives of quiet desperation until they no longer need you. And guess what? You're at the point where they no longer need you. Now, what to do? That's where I'm at. I truthfully don't know what to do. I don't know if this is a beginning of what to do, some kind of weekly update. I truthfully wanted to be in a position where I could talk and converse myself to the public. For some strange reason, even though I absolutely hate my fellow human beings, I do need to engage in the society in which I find myself in. And that's still distressing to me, because I don't want to be there. I don't want to be wanting to engage with this world. I just want it to entertain me and provide me with intellectual puzzles so I can keep the monkey in the head at bay. So what is to be done? Don't know. Is it as bad as some of those on the left are making it out to be? Yep, it is that bad. Do I expect massive deportation of immigrants and Muslims and undocumented aliens? Maybe, if they need an economic scapegoat for a while. I don't know. Do I expect privatization of Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security? Don't know. Don't know about that yet. I think the dirty secret is, even if Trump wanted to actually, quote unquote, bring all the jobs back, I fundamentally believe he can't, because, just as I mentioned earlier, economic and ecological reasons. But secondly, I don't know if rampant levels of infrastructure investment would provide enough Keynesian incentive to bridge and manage the slow decline or the new normalization of less living standards that the country is unfortunately going to go through. I don't know. And I don't think capital is willing to buy peace with the large portion of unnecessary labor that it has at its disposal currently. And that's one of the main problems, is they got more people needing to be employed than the markets for goods and services that these people could drive and construct towards. So I don't know if capital is willing to buy peace with some form of basic income guarantee, with some form of guaranteed health care, with some form of guaranteed education. We're trying to construct a more volunteer, cooperatively owned, small level distribution system at your local level. I don't think capital is ready for that yet, and I don't think the average human American is ready for that. The average American, in my opinion, wants nothing more in life than to work their meaningless job and then go home and watch Netflix and maybe have a wank on the side here and there. They don't have any great ambitions or any desire to even look at the society in which they live in. So that's currently where I'm at. I don't know if this is going to be a regular update, but there's a lot of people that, no, actually, there's a couple of people that probably desire my input about where we are as a species. And it's not a pleasant place, in my opinion. Anyway, Fat Bastard, want to be Buddha. Have a good day.